It talks about the history of the Republican Party. And I designed it so that on one side, any candidate could put their material, and then on the back, you'd have the history of the party. Because if you knew the history of the party, there's no way someone could say you're a Republican, you're racist. You're in the Tea Party, you're a racist. You're just a holdover from the Klan. Did you know that the first blacks in Congress, both House and Senate, the first Hispanics to be able to vote in Congress, the first woman in Congress, the first Asian American in Congress, the first Native American in Congress? Anybody know we had a Native American vice president? Congressman, senator, and vice president, all Republicans. So how can you look at the Republican Party and say that's the party of racism, the party of the Klan? Well, I know, because I went through 13 years of public education and never learned that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And it took a movie, Undercover Brother, to tell me that. And then I started looking up on the internet, and it's like, it's true. And then you find out that the radical Republicans who wrote the 13th Amendment and ended slavery, also Republicans. So the history of our party is rich, and most people, especially the people we're trying to reach, don't know it. Again, tell people something that will bring them to your side. Say, I value your vote. I want you to vote with me, and I agree with you. Finally, on those social issues, like I said, abortion, illegal immigration, gay marriage. The people in my district agree with me 100%. As you know, there's a big fight to push for gay marriage coming up in this legislative session. And I'm with a group called Protect Marriage Maryland. We're trying to turn this back. When I talk to the people on the issues, they're, oh yeah, man, put me down for that, okay? But when I tell them I'm a Republican, they back away. Get to them on the issues. So I formed my campaign around those concepts. Civil rights, history we've got to brag about. Tell people that we are the party of civil rights. Not only back in 1865, but also 1957, okay? The majority of Republicans voted for the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Democrats tried to filibuster it, okay? People need to know that. Conservative values, as I said, those social issues that a lot of people in GOP want to run away from, those are the very values that we're going to win on if we stay true to our principles. Capitalism, okay? If you call someone a socialist, they'll run away. No, I'm not a socialist, okay? They don't like the term. Well, please tell me what socialism is. Let's talk about Karl Marx and Adam Smith. Let's talk about John Maynard Keynes. Let's get to the nitty-gritty and see why the United States of America is the greatest republic ever to exist. It's capitalism. You're talking to them about making money, you're talking to them about cash flow, they agree with you. They're like, I'm down with that. I've got so many supporters based on using the right terminology. When they hear the word conservative, they don't like it. They run away. Capitalism, they run away. But you talk to them in the terms that they have been talked to about, they agree with and understand. Finally, and most importantly, the Constitution. The Constitution is the foundation of our government, and anyone who doesn't understand that or doesn't appreciate that really has no business in our government. It is what enables us. Enable us to participate in self-government. But I swore an oath to the Constitution in 1990, and I've been loyal to it ever since, but I never truly understood what it meant because I was going off what my teachers told me in that same public school. But when I reread it, I said, before I can run for office, I've got to agree with what these founding fathers, these slave owners wrote. Right? And I'm going through and I'm like, well, there's a lot of provisions in here to protect me. A lot of provisions for freedom. I mean, the 13th Amendment is in here, the 14th and the 15th Amendment in here. Again, Republicans did that. But I got to this thing called the 9th and the 10th Amendment. And the 10th Amendment especially is what I call the pivot point, or the fulcrum of the Constitution, because without it you can't understand the rest. Without it, the Constitution just gives power to government to tell you what to do, or at least it allows liberals to think that's what it does. They use the necessary and proper clause, and the general welfare clause, and the commerce clause improperly to say government can do anything to take care of the people. That's not true. Because if you understand what the 10th Amendment says, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively and to the people. That means if it doesn't say it in this document, you can't do it. The federal government can't do it, leave it to the states. And then the 9th Amendment goes with it. The enumeration of certain powers in the Constitution shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That means you have rights that are not enumerated in here. Because as we know from the Declaration of Independence, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But that's not all, right? Your rights are given to you at birth. No one can take them away. We delegate to the government its powers, and the government then works for us. That is what we need to restore and bring them to understand. This is something that people in my community will appreciate, because they don't want to be told what to do with their life. They don't want to be told that they have to buy health care whether they like it or not. They'd rather pay their bills. They'd rather see their electric bills coming down. They'd rather see their snow removed, you know? And they see government failing at every turn. So we've got to open their eyes and awaken them with the message they agree with. My elementary school was called James Ryder Randall. Anybody know who he was? He wrote a poem, and the words go, "The despot's heel is on thy shore, Maryland. His torch is at thy temple door, Maryland. Avenge the patriotic war that flecked the streets of Baltimore, and be the battle queen of your Maryland, my Maryland." That is Maryland's state song. Now, it seems to me we've got a despot in D.C. He doesn't care what we think. He's going to force his will on us. And we've got a few despots that came out of Baltimore. Martin O'Malley, Martin Mikulski, Ben Cardin. We've got to live up to the creed of our state song and take Maryland back. Let's work together.